विकास सर रोहिणी सर थैंक यू ये गलती से आपने दे दिया 1 अप्रैल से चार्ज देना है आने वाले प्रधान
आज से का सेलिब्रेट शुरू कर दें
वुमेन डे है सर आज सर भी आपके वजह से सर क्या हाल है कैसे हैं गुड गुड सर डॉक्टर सूद क्या हाल है डॉक्टर डॉक्टर मीनू वालिया फिर डॉक्टर मीनू वालिया मेडिकल आइए सर आइए यहाँ आया था
Sir, I'll request everybody just we are finishing the session in 2 minutes. Let the shaking complete.
Revised hip, total femur replacement done in very few centers of the country. And again, back life. It is a team work and thank my patients, my colleagues.
Thank you, Dr. Aruna. I will just compliment that.
Side of the whole medical fraternity all over India. Please come to the stage. Our ladies, please.
डॉक्टर किरण वधवा be here on dice and present a floral bouquet to our ये मोमेंट्स डे है तो हमने कहा आज ही आपके साथ
आइए मैडम आगे आइए
and it would have been it is a Seema Gupta ji to wear floral bouquet to our president Dr. Bibi Dr. Seema please Dr. Arvind Narayan to give bouquet to Dr. G.S. Garwal, our President-elect. And Dr. Sood.
Session, and I think he needs a standing ovation for that. Please give him a standing ovation for what all he has done for the country. He made us, our country, polio free, and today in the COVID time, we are proud to say he has worked day and night last year, and we have around 28 state branches and 9 union territories, and probably Delhi Medical Association has the honor that
And he led from the front. We at Delhi Medical Association has been working day night in corona times, and we have lost many of our friends in this fight against corona. Friends, Dr. Harshvardhan, who has been past president of Delhi Medical Association, has been working day night in the public for many healthcare schemes since his first tenure as MLA from the Krishnanagar. We at Delhi Medical Association supported every program, whatever help Delhi Medical Association did is only with the guide of Dr. Harshvardhan. Pulse polio program, he took up a challenge, and we at Delhi Medical Association associated with, and we tried, and we succeeded in eradicating polio from India. In the corona times, Delhi Medical Association launched a program, Mask Lagao Corona Bhagao, which was launched by Dr. Harshvardhan, and it was a public awareness program where hundreds of the people were given free masks, and that program was so successful that even government of Delhi and after the government of India, everybody followed that, and it was a campaign which was successfully completed. Friends, we have a health minister who is one of our past president and our friend and our close guide, who has been always helping us in every case wherever we need. But today, we have been facing many problems. So, wherever we need, he is there, but still many of the issues are there which are to be addressed. We request Sir to look after the nursing home issues, nursing home registration issues, fire NOC issues, and solid waste management charges are there which are being levied in North MCD, property tax charges, unjust, unfair charges are being laid in East Delhi. So these are the many issues what we want Sir should address. Moreover, what we want at Delhi Medical Association, that there should be a single window clearance for medical establishment in Delhi. So sir, today we are here. Thank you very much. You are here. We at Delhi Medical Association would like to felicitate Dr. Harshvardhan, who has been flag bearer in the fight against corona, and I should compliment that he motivated our scientists to bring out the cheapest and safest vaccine, which has been appreciated by one and all and being supplied all over world. So today I thank Sir, I thank my all office bearers for organizing this conference. I am especially thankful to our Secretary Dr. Ajay Gambhir, our Joint Secretaries Dr. Arvind Narayan, Vice President Dr. Prakash Lalchandani, Dr. Ajay Bedi, and Coordinator, Chief Coordinator Dr. Ashwini Goel, past President DMA, along with Dr. Harish Gupta, who you all know is the guide and motivating force for all of us. Thank you once again. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you.
Words. You have been working very hard. We say that when the challenges are there, the tough people always take time. During the COVID time, Dr. B.B. Wadhwa went to each and every hospital in Delhi to felicitate the corona warriors, to uplift their morale so that in difficult times our people continue to serve throughout the year. Thank you, Dr. Wadhwa. Now it is my proud privilege to invite our very hardworking, dynamic Dr. Ajay Gambhir, who has been leading the medical fraternity since his RDA days, and our resident doctors are also sitting here. We can very well recount that the stipend which we are getting today has been one of the features in a strike that was led by Dr. Ajay Gambhir, and a pact was signed with Mr. T.N. Session that time, and today we are having a good amount of salary as far as the resident doctors are concerned. Thank you, Dr. Gambhir, for all your contribution. Please come and give your address.
धन्यवाद डॉक्टर हरीश, आपने उन वक्तों की याद दिलवा दी जब 1988 में पोलियो और कॉलरा एपिडेमिक के रूप में इस दिल्ली में जब मैं जीटीबी हॉस्पिटल में था, और 89 में हम लोगों ने मिलके कलेक्टिव एजिटेशन करी थी, और उस समय हमें बहुत मदद मिली थी। हर्षवर्धन जी यहाँ बैठे हैं, उस समय वो सेक्रेटरी होते थे दिल्ली मेडिकल एसोसिएशन के। सो हिस्ट्री जाननी बहुत ज़रूरत है, तो मैं उनको भी धन्यवाद देना चाहूँगा। कोरोना के समय दिल्ली मेडिकल एसोसिएशन जो बीच में लोगों ने कहा बंद ही पड़ी है, बंद नहीं पड़ी रही, बहुत काम होते रहे। हमारे मित्रों ने हॉस्पिटल्स में जाके काम करे, हमारे मित्रों ने पेशेंट्स की केयर करी, होम बेस में हमारे कई लोग काम करते रहे, ओल्ड केयर में कई लोग हमारे काम करते रहे। और सबसे बड़ी जो हमें प्रॉब्लम आ रही थी वैक्सीन रोल आउट में, वैक्सीन हेजिटेंसी में, और वैक्सीन हेजिटेंसी में हर्षवर्धन जी भी मानेंगे कि जब स्टार्ट हुआ था बहुत हेजिटेंसी थी। सरकारी हॉस्पिटल सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट के 40% कवरेज, दिल्ली गवर्नमेंट के हॉस्पिटल में 50% कवरेज और प्राइवेट हॉस्पिटल में 60 से 70% कवरेज थी। कुछ चंद हॉस्पिटल थे जहाँ 90% थी, जहाँ एक्स्ट्रा एफर्ट लगाए जाते थे, जैसे सरोज हॉस्पिटल में हमने 90% तक कवरेज पहले दिन से कर रहे हैं। दिल्ली मेडिकल एसोसिएशन मीडिया के थ्रू, सरकार के थ्रू, दोस्तों के थ्रू ये हेजिटेंसी कम होती गई। और जब सर्वर खुल नहीं रहे थे, हमारे ऊपर बहुत बड़ा प्रेशर था, हम फ़ोन करते थे डॉक्टर हर्ष को खुलवाओ, यहाँ भी लोकल सेक्रेटरी को फ़ोन करते थे। बाद में हेजिटेंसी धीरे धीरे कम होने लगी और आज है कि आज हम इस स्टेज पे आ गए हैं कि ये सेल्फ सस्टेन्ड, सेल्फ रोल आउट प्लान हमारे देश में चल गया है। इसके लिए सबको मुबारक है, हमारे दिल्ली जो मेडिकल एसोसिएशन के लोग हैं। मैं यहाँ हाईलाइट करना चाहूँगा दिल्ली मेडिकल एसोसिएशन को और दिल्ली मेडिकल एसोसिएशन की ब्रांडिंग। हम हमेशा बात करते हैं कि हमारी कलेक्टिव बार्गेन होनी चाहिए। दिल्ली अलोन कैन नॉट चेंज द पॉलिसीज ऑफ इंडिया, वी हैव टू प्रेशराइज, एंड डेफिनेटली आई नीड माई कोलीग फ्रॉम हरियाणा, फ्रॉम राजस्थान, फ्रॉम तमिलनाडु। बट हम देख रहे हैं कि कुल मिला के पिछले 4-5 सालों में ये समवे नहीं हो पा रहा था। तो जब हिस्ट्री निकाली तो 1914 से हिस्ट्री मिली कि दिल्ली मेडिकल एसोसिएशन 1914 में बनी थी, फर्स्ट वर्ल्ड वॉर के समय। और हिस्ट्री है कि ब्रिटिशर काम नहीं करने देते थे डॉक्टर्स को। आईएमए 1928 में आई दिल्ली में, वो भी इसलिए कि डॉक्टर अमीर चंद जो कि पंजाब से गए थे कलकत्ता, उनको काम नहीं करने दिया जा रहा था। वो प्रेसिडेंट चुने गए थे इंडियन मेडिकल एसोसिएशन के। और उनके बाद मेरे को डॉक्टर ग्रोवर ने भी हिस्ट्री बताई और मैंने बाकी भी निकाली है। 100 साल जब हमने डीएमए के मिलाए थे, उनको काम नहीं करने दिया जाता कि सेक्रेटरी काम करेगा, प्रेसिडेंट की नहीं चलती। प्रेसिडेंट का कमरा बंद पड़ा रहा कलकत्ता में, तो उन्होंने सेक्रेटरी का इलेक्शन लड़ा। वो ऐसे प्रेसिडेंट थे, बाद में वो सेक्रेटरी बने। नॉर्मली सेक्रेटरी बनने के बाद वो प्रेसिडेंट बनते हैं, वो प्रेसिडेंट बनने के बाद सेक्रेटरी बने। और जब उनको काम नहीं करने दिया, बंगाल का विभाजन हुआ, बहुत मुश्किल हो रही थी, अंग्रेज़ों की तरफ से था, तो दिल्ली आए और हमारे यहाँ पे जो पुल है हमारा पलटून पुल के साथ ऑफिस बना दिल्ली मेडिकल एसोसिएशन का। और उसके बाद मस्जिद में पहले सिविल सर्जन जनरल भी थे इंडिया के, फिर जामा मस्जिद फतेहपुर मस्जिद में भी बना। तो मैं डॉक्टर हर्ष को मैं पहले भी गुजारिश कर चुका हूँ, हमने चीफ मिनिस्टर को भी लिखा है, पीएम साहब को भी लिखा है कि उनके माध्यम से ये आर्कीव्स में होना चाहिए। पहली ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है, हमारे लिए गर्व है कि ये पहली रजिस्टर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, ओल्डेस्ट रजिस्टर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन ऑफ डॉक्टर्स है पूरे इंडिया में। हमारे यहाँ से लोग पब्लिक उसमें, चाहे डॉक्टर JK जैन हो, चाहे डॉक्टर हर्षवर्धन हो, बहुत लोग अब MP बने हैं, उसके बाद MLA भी बने हैं, यहाँ के हमारे मेयर भी आए हैं पब्लिक सर्विस में आने के कारण। तो हमें दिल्ली मेडिकल एसोसिएशन की, अब हम देख रहे हैं कि दिल्ली मेडिकल एसोसिएशन जो हमें देश के लेवल पे करना चाहिए, हमको ये माना गया कि हम स्टेट बॉडी हैं, हम स्टेट बॉडी नहीं है। मेरा यह कहना है कि अभी ये टाइम आ गया है, मैं अपने प्रधान जी से कहूँगा, आपसे भी कहूँगा कि हमें मैंडेट दें कि हम जो IMA काम नहीं कर पा रही, हम ये काम मिलकर करेंगे। हमारे यंग स्टूडेंट्स भी हैं यहाँ पे, RDA के लोग भी आए हुए हैं। ये डिसेंट्रलाइजेशन का इशू आया कि दिल्ली, उस समय एग्रीमेंट ये हुआ था कि दिल्ली सीनियर है, दिल्ली ही IMA चलाएगी, दिल्ली के लोग ही सेक्रेटरी होंगे, प्रेसिडेंट पूरे इंडिया से आता रहेगा, सेक्रेटरीट दिल्ली में होगा। लेकिन मैं पिछले 4 साल से देख रहा हूँ सेक्रेटरीट चेन्नई में चला गया, बॉम्बे में चला गया, ना एडवोकेसी है, ना पॉलिसी है, ना उनकी दोस्ती है सरकार के साथ। सिर्फ क्रिटिसाइज़ करने से नहीं चलती ना, मिलके भी काम करना पड़ता है। तो हमने इसको करते हुए दिल्ली मेडिकल एसोसिएशन ने एग्जीक्यूटिव में पास किया, हमें सबकी मदद मिली, सबकी मदद मिली अक्रॉस द लाइन। जब इन्होंने डिसेंट्रलाइज कर दिया कि दिल्ली में कोई भी पोस्ट नहीं रहेगी और 30,000 से 2 लाख फीस कर दी गई, हमारे लिए बहुत दुविधा की बात थी कि एक ऑर्डिनरी डॉक्टर 2 लाख रुपए मेंबर वो दे के इलेक्शन लड़े, इलेक्शन कंट्रीब्यूशन इतना ज़्यादा हो गया। तो हमने इंडियन मेडिकल एसोसिएशन के ऊपर अभी एक कोर्ट केस भी किया है, और जो कि एक लैंडमार्क कोर्ट केस होगा, और इसके लिए मैं फिर आप लोगों से एक सपोर्ट मांगूंगा। लास्ट चीज़, क्वैकरी के अंदर क्वैकरी के अंदर डीएमए चैंपियन रहा है, एंटी क्वैकरी हमने किया है। हमारे कुछ डिफरेंसेस हर सरकार से रहे हैं, कोई भी सरकार रहे, कि इसको देखना चाहिए कि किस लेवल पे क्रेडेंशियल देने चाहिए, हमने कितने को क्या अलाउ करना चाहिए। हम सोचते हैं कि अभी जो नोटिफिकेशन आया है उसके लिए भी हम लोग मिलके सरकार से बात करके हम आगे बढ़ें और मिलजुल के काम करें। मैं सबका वेलकम करता हूं और सबका धन्यवाद करता हूं कि आज आप छोटे नोटिस पे इतने ज़्यादा लोग इस समय आए, और मैं गुजारिश करूंगा डॉक्टर हर्षवर्धन से कि हमारे जो मुद्दे हैं ड्यूरिंग द कोविड टाइम हम मिलके उनके साथ चलने को तैयार हैं, सरकार की सपोर्ट के साथ और सबके साथ। धन्यवाद।
थैंक यू डॉक्टर गंभीर। आपने बहुत ही थोड़े से शब्दों में ये बता दिया कि दिल्ली मेडिकल एसोसिएशन एक स्टेट ब्रांच है, बट इट इज़ वन ऑफ द रेयर ओकेजन्स दैट इट इज़ ओल्डर देन आवर पेरेंट ब्रांच IMA. In fact, DMA started working much earlier than the IMA, and the role of DMA cannot be undermined in any issues. We have all in Delhi Medical Association fought the issues of the medical fraternity from the front, and we have so many of the stalwarts who are sitting here today. Now I request Dr. Anand Pandey, chairman of the conference and one of the leading senior interventional cardiologists at Dharamshila Narayanan Hospital. If any one of you has heard Dr. Anand Pandey as a surgeon, I listened to few of his lectures. He is an excellent teacher. सर जो भी लेक्चर में कहते हैं वो बिल्कुल एक स्टूडेंट की तरह आप उसको सुनते हो और उसको बड़े अच्छे से याद भी हो जाता है, समझ भी आ जाता है। इट इज़ अवर प्राउड प्रिविलेज टू वेलकम डॉक्टर आनंद पांडे फॉर द कीनोट।
चीफ गेस्ट डॉक्टर हर्षवर्धन सर, मिनिस्टर ऑफ साइंस टेक्नोलॉजी, मिनिस्टर ऑफ अर्थ साइंसेज एंड मिनिस्टर ऑफ हेल्थ एंड फैमिली वेलफेयर, गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया. As organizing chairman on behalf of DMA, my regards and warm welcome to you to have been with us in this afternoon. Your presence has given us energy, motivation and meaning to this conference. My regards to respected President DMA Dr. Vadhva, Dr. Ajay Gambhir, Organizing Secretary, Dr. Alok Bhandari, Finance Secretary, and all the past presidents, office bearers and entire team of DMA involving in organizing this Medicon 2021. It was indeed untiring effort of Dr. Vadhva and his entire team to bring us from virtual world to the real world at this hall. Thanks once again for giving me an opportunity to be part of this team. Thank you very much. I also warmly welcome my all learned speakers, chairpersons and moderators whose vast scientific knowledge, experience has enlightened us in improving and improvising our day-to-day clinical practice. Once again, thanks to all speakers from Core of Art. So it was indeed a tough time for entire world and especially to our country due to a large population, difficult demography with plenty of challenges in healthcare. I remember when the COVID had started, there had been huge rumors India is going to lose millions of lives. It will be tough to manage the COVID crisis. But I think it's combination of our Prime Minister and one of the best health ministers which I have ever seen in my life, to not only to motivate but to monitor on 24/7 basis with a very dynamic decisions taken throughout entire COVID. I think we have almost won the battle. Though battle is going on, but we are definite of our victory in this crisis. Well, we know that India was facing two challenges. There were two battles were fought simultaneously. One was at the borders where Indian soldiers were fighting with China, and one the doctors were fighting in the hospital field. And I think this was a period when more doctors, almost more than 600 doctors, lost their life in fighting the COVID than the soldiers in the same time. I think we must give a big round of applause to all the doctors who are really sharing their anxiety, their stress and everything, their family, and giving a frontline workers as the fighters for this COVID. There have been basic challenges. If you see the COVID, we were lucky in one sense that when COVID had started from China, nobody knew what the disease is. And if I'm not wrong, initial days, it was the ventilators, ventilators and ventilators. Anybody had COVID, fallen sick, required ventilators. By the time it went to European countries, Italy, US, the disease was much understood, and then we found that it was not a ARDS, it was an inflammatory disease leading to thromboembolic phenomena. And by the time disease came to India, we were fully prepared to know how to treat the disease. So unlucky in the sense that large population and COVID, but lucky in the sense that we knew the COVID as a disease process. So there was a huge challenge of social distancing because of overpopulation of country. Then definitely scarcity of masks, sanitizers, ventilators and drugs. But again, I must compliment leadership and our health ministry who really gave a strong support. And I could share the video when Dr. Harshvardhan was going to every possible hospitals in Delhi and country to monitor physically the COVID crisis when everybody was scared coming out. Well, we salute you not only on behalf of medical fraternity, we salute as a citizen of this country who has saved many lives in this process. I was sitting with our director and CEO, Dr. Devi Shetty, when the COVID had started, and he was really worried that once it comes to India, millions' lives will be lost. But really thanks to our foods, lifestyle, Ayurveda, yoga, and alternate medicines, plus medical fraternity being very active, with the government being very dynamic in decision making, we have become a role model to the different countries. And I remember when COVID has started, every country was looking at India. Let's see how India is going to deal with this COVID. And now, every country is looking to India for different reasons. They are asking for HCQ, they are asking for vaccination. I really compliment again for fastest rolling vaccination program in India and the world over. And being Minister of Science and Health both, I think it was the best combination which we got as Health Minister and Dr. Harshvardhan sir. Entire world was looking, and we have been biggest supplier of HCQ. Now we are supplying to vaccines, and I think the latest data says that 1.94 crore vaccinations have been done, and almost 5 lakhs vaccination have been given as a second dose. I think we have been vaccinated. One thing, another compliment I would like to give, I got my vaccination at Government Hospital in Noida, and I was shocked to see the infrastructure facilities. They were not inferior to any hospitals in corporate sector. So it's a great achievement for us as a medical fraternity. Honorable sir, this was almost impossible if we did not have a leader like you as a health minister. Battle is still on, but we are sure that we are going to win. With warm regards, with due regards, if I say something as a demand, because we know, sir, only you can meet the demands. We have such a confidence in you. I'll like to raise certain points. First of all, our graduates and postgraduates, who are the next generation who are coming to the medical field in different medical colleges, they are facing big challenges when they come in real world practice, like digitization of medical process. We are now writing e-prescriptions, emergency records, and everything is electronically generated. But we should incorporate these into our medical curriculum so that once they are in practice, they must know this. Second thing is that a lot of litigations are there in medical practice because of lack of counseling, communications, medical ethics and medical finance. I think we must have some short course of medical counseling, ethics. Medical finance has come in a big way, sir, in our corporate sector. Our boys and girls who are studying in medical college, they must have some awareness of these important issues. We must introduce and make our new coming doctor to be aware and prepared for facing these challenges once they are in practice. Role of preventive medicine, I remember when I was in Karnataka, the health minister was giving a lecture that we are into sickness industry, we are not into wellness and preventive industry. I think we must take the steps to incorporate preventive medical sciences into our MBBS and MD curriculum, because I was reading an article about cancer. 14% cancer deaths are just because the diagnosis has been delayed. So there is huge role of preventive medicine, and we are facing epidemic of diabetes, heart disease, cancer. If preventive steps taken, I think we can prevent many more lives. All said and done, all the patients, all the boys and girls who are coming from medical college, they must be trained for ACLS and BCLS, that is Advanced Cardiac Life Support and Basic Life Support. India has maximum number of sudden cardiac deaths. So once you are a graduate, you know how to resuscitate, how to prevent a life. As per, sir, a very important, very emotional issue from me, as per Kerala IMA, the medical fraternity lives 10 years less than other professionals. I think because of chronic stress, litigations, medical violence. We are teachers for lifestyle management and prevention. I think our life becomes most unhealthy because of unrealistic expectation from the society and the patient. We must introduce mental health. Like a large number of boys and girls we had seen in last 1 year had committed suicide. I think this is something very serious for our coming generation. We need to guard the health of those who are savior of the society. We must increase the percentage of GDP, which has been done, I think, in last finance year, but I think it's little more need. Almost, I think it needs double the GDP to have a proper infrastructure and a quality medical health care. I'll just give an example from the college which I have come. They are still into secondary care. I think all medical colleges should be high in secondary care and tertiary care, so that the load to Delhi and bigger towns is reduced. India is ranking very low. Some very important points, like India is ranking very low in organ donation. Lot patients are dying because lack of organ donation programs, and solid organ transplant, India is ranking very low. We must promote the masses. We must introduce organ transplant, organ donation in medical curriculum, so that when the boys and girls come out of their medical college, they know the beauty of life. And organ donation is going to save a large number of people who are waiting for kidney transplant, cardiac transplant, liver and other transplants. Let us make the rules less stringent, but to avoid the organ trading also. Few more lines I would like to add. Role of telemedicine is used. I think we must introduce telemedicine to medical colleges. Home care is coming. I think Dr. Grewal will have a session on home care. Delhi is loaded with geriatric population. India is going to have maximum number of aged population in the world. We must look into a structured home care program to our country. When everyone was, so once again, I'll try to summarize. So once again, when everyone was scared coming out, it was only the doctors and paramedics who defied all the odds and were dedicated for the human services. As a doctor, I could feel the apprehensions and anxiety, but we never shied from the duty. I remember the day it was lockdown. Next day we had an acute to my friend's father. I had to rush to hospital. We didn't know what COVID is. We did a primary angioplasty and he survived. See, it was a matter of gratification also, little apprehensions, anxiety, but yes, we did our duties to the best possible ways. And again, on behalf of DMA, I salute all the doctors and paramedics as frontline workers for tiding the crisis and regaining the lost glory of medical professions. It was an opportunity for us to establish ourselves as the same glory as we had in previous. We lost almost 600 plus doctors, more than the soldiers which I had said earlier. I think we must pay our gratitude and regards and whatever support we can give as a fraternity. Sir, I know there are challenges, but we expect a lot from you because only you can fulfill our demands. So with this, I will again say thanks to you, my gratitude to you to be here in this conference, and once again regards, thanks a lot to all the members.
Saraswati
our pride of the medical profession, Dr. Harshvardhan, for his margdarshan, for his guidance. As we are all aware, he started his journey in the as a medical social activist, first as the president of IMH Delhi branch, then as a secretary, and as a my East Delhi colleagues are having a special applause because out of the 1700 branches, they have a special privilege that their past president is today the health minister of the country. Dr. Sunil Singhal, it's a pride moment for you, and Dr. Gautam, the incoming elected president. Sir, when it was a coincidence, very nice coincidence, then when Dr. Harshvardhan was elected the president of Delhi Medical Association, simultaneously he was elected an MLA and the health minister of the state of Delhi. And we can only say the challenging times bring the people who have the capability. Polio was very much rampant. Polio was there throughout, especially in East Delhi. Hundreds and hundreds of cases were there, and the Pediatrics Forum and all medical fraternity sat down with Dr. Harshvardhan that our country needs a pulse polio program, and the people could not believe it. I've heard from the leading political figures also that they just thought that I think it will never be possible. But with the involvement of Delhi Medical Association, with the leadership skills of Dr. Harshvardhan, it's a reality today that we are a polio-free nation, and every member of the Delhi Medical Association was there on the booths of polio, so managing and shoulder to shoulder the taking up the responsibilities with the government. Many other programs, Sevan Shakti Abhiyan, Matra Suraksha Abhiyan were started when he was the health minister of the city of Delhi. Many hospital projects were there, and again, when we say the destiny had a very difficult COVID pandemic, which was there when Dr. Harshvardhan took over as the health minister in Honorable Prime Minister Modi ji's government, in his cabinet. The challenging time came. India was not having only just one lab to test the COVID-19, and we were not having any labs to take care of the diagnostic facility. We were not having the PPE kits, but within a year, with his hard work, with his vision, today India has thousands of labs. Lakhs of tests have been conducted. Not only that India has the kits for them, we are also exporting PPE kits. We have 10,000 hospitals and healthcare structures which are the COVID facility. We are able not only to make ventilators for ourselves, but able to export the ventilators also. And later on, there was a vision. We knew 6 months back, our healthcare team had a talk with the foreign collaboration about the supply chain for the vaccination. 6 months back, the Liechtenstein team came and they had a team tie-up with the government that how the cold chain will be maintained. Look at the vision. 6-7 months back, our healthcare team led by Dr. Harshvardhan and with the blessings of the Honorable Prime Minister, they thought that we have to develop the vaccine not only for the country but for the whole world today globally. And with the hard work of the scientists, it is today that we have the most effective and the most cost-effective vaccines which India is producing, not only for India but for the whole globe. It's a matter of proud moment that Dr. Harshvardhan is also the chairman of the WHO Executive Committee, the only person to hold it, and it is a proud moment again for Delhi Medical Association. Friends, it's a rare honor today. And it's my pleasure duty to request Dr. Harshvardhan to give his address and to guide us. Thank you, sir. Please come.
President of Delhi Medical Association, Dr. B.V. Wadhwa, all the past presidents of Delhi Medical Association gracing this occasion, Dr. Harish Grover, Dr. Prem Agrawal, Dr. Harish Gupta, our President-elect Dr. Grewal, Dr. Rakesh Gupta, and all the presidents and office bearers of the state branches, the local branches in Delhi. Also gracing the stage, the two vice presidents of Delhi Medical Association, Dr. Lal Chandani and Dr. Ajay Bedi, Dr. Pandey, who is the chairman of the organizing committee, and also the past president, Dr. Goel, gracing the stage, Dr. Ajay Gambhir, honorary secretary, Delhi Medical Association, other dear members of Delhi Medical Association and friends from the media also. Well, it's a very, very privileged moment for me to be with all of you. It has always been like that because there is one place where you feel absolutely at home, and I have not come here as the health minister of the country, but I have come here as one of your own members, and I would not have waited for this opportunity for coming, that you are going to honor me with something for my support to the COVID program and work as a science and technology minister. But in fact, I have come here to express my gratitude to my fellow medical professionals for your support, which ultimately yielded us rich dividends and great success in our fight against COVID. And the country will always remain indebted to all the doctors, nurses, all the health workers, all the frontline workers, and of course to the scientists also, who also, like COVID warriors like you, rose to the occasion and contributed very, very significantly in our fight against COVID. The last 14 months had been very eventful. I remember that it was almost 6th or 7th January 2020 when the news of the coronavirus having affected people in China broke, and it was informed to the whole world by the World Health Organization. And my first meeting for handling COVID in India was on 8th January itself, within less than 48 hours of that news break. And since then, we all have been working relentlessly, continuously, around the clock, of course with the support of the whole government, the guidance and leadership of our Prime Minister, the support of the whole society, and of course the support of the whole medical profession. And now, for the last 2 months, another dimension has been added to our fight against COVID, that we have also started the vaccination thanks to the scientific community and the industry, which has been able to produce vaccines not only for India but also for the whole world. When the whole world and many countries in the world are talking about vaccine nationalism, there is a Prime Minister who has the vision and the statesmanship, who knows and believes that the whole world is one family, and who appreciates the value of science. And as a science and technology minister, I have also been able to appreciate this, that while technology can be local, but science is universal. and the benefits of science have to be enjoyed by each and everyone. And right through, even in the World Health Organization, we have been saying that the benefits of vaccine, they have to be shared equitably by the whole world. And as professionals, you also know that if the whole world is not free from COVID, we also cannot be free from COVID. And we could not have a better experience about this than the experience that we derived in our fight against polio. You all know that because our neighbors Pakistan and Afghanistan still have cases of polio, the whole world has to take vaccination against poliomyelitis even now. Even in India, although we had seen our last case on 13 January 2011, almost 10 years back, but still we had the universal vaccination program, national immunization program for polio very recently when the president launched it. So it has been, I would say, a great statesmanship on the part of our Prime Minister that he could take the vaccine matter forward. And I feel very sad when some people do politics around this. They talk about issues which create so much of vaccine hesitancy, so much of politics around the vaccine, while this is a subject which has to be above politics of all nature. So the last 14 months have been very, very phenomenal in the sense that you have all worked very hard. I think we don't require any description. Everyone has seen in this country and everyone has appreciated in no uncertain terms the contribution of not only the COVID warriors, the doctors, but also their family members, their friends, their mothers. And I always say that, and I always pay tributes to the mothers of the COVID warriors, our doctors and nurses, because in the last 14 months, I have not seen one example of one mother who told his son or a daughter who was a doctor or a nurse that please stop going to the hospitals, stop serving the COVID patients, because each one of us have seen, our family members have seen, all of us have seen our very dear and near close friends, relatives dying, not only because of COVID, but also dying because they were serving people, they were serving COVID patients, they were trying to protect and save the lives of others. So this contribution of all of you will certainly go down in history as one of the examples to be emulated and which would give inspiration to generations of our younger people in future. The medical students have seen today what the doctors have done, what the seniors have done, and I am sure that this is going to be written in golden letters in the history of the medical profession. And I always recall very fondly the year 1994, when I had the privilege of being the Health Minister of Delhi also, and also enjoyed the privilege of being the President of the Delhi Medical Association. And when I was blessed by God to dream about a polio-free India, subsequent to a polio-free Delhi on 20th of December 1993, just 17 days after I had assumed charge as Delhi's Health Minister, I was privileged to be also the President of Delhi Medical Association, and I also enjoyed the support of each and every medical professional in the city of Delhi. And I do not forget the days when doctors, even the senior most doctors, they would go around in streets, they would go around in dharamshalas, they would go around with addressing NGO meetings, they will go to the villages, they will go to the slums, they will work day in and day out. And that was all because the doctors were at the center of that movement. They were spearheading that movement, they were giving energy to that movement, they were giving direction to that movement, they gave vision to that movement. And because of that vision, in 1994, on October 2, we could successfully launch the Pulse Polio program in the capital of India. And then we saw ourselves that the program, because of its successful model that we could create, it saw it being emulated in the whole country. We saw it being emulated in the country in 1995. We saw it being followed by the countries of the Southeast Asia region in 96. And then when India could do it in 95, we have seen that it was launched in Africa, South Africa also, by Nelson Mandela, who had just come out of jail at that time. And the rest is a long history, because I had the privilege to work on this particular aspect with WHO also for many Southeast Asian countries, was part of most of the international committees discussing and deliberating and working on polio eradication for almost 2 decades. So I can appreciate it from the core of my heart that when India decides, or when the medical profession decides, it can deliver, it has the capability, it has the potential, and it can take up even the hardest of challenges and successfully actually accomplish success. And this is what we could achieve in COVID also. Because COVID, you will all recall that when COVID had come and then we were in those initial stages, we started our preparations on 8th of January, our first case had come on 30th of January. And we all know the initial history, and then a lot of experts used to come from abroad who used to hold very leading positions in American universities and American academic institutions and various other places, and they came here to India and they said India is going to be destroyed. COVID will destroy everyone. COVID will cause 300 million cases in India. COVID will cause 6 million, 7 million, 8 million deaths in India. But we all saw what happened during the course of the last 14 months. Because of your contribution and because of the hard work of the medical profession, of course supported by everyone else, we today have the highest recovery rate in the whole world. We today have the lowest fatality rate in the whole world. It is the same country where people on every television channel used to shout, test, test, test. What's India going to do with few thousand tests? And for last 6 months, I think we are doing more than 1 million tests every day. It was just 6-7 years back that India used to send its swab for similar testing to CDC Atlanta. All our samples used to be sent to America for testing. And when we started with COVID, we had only one place in this country where we could isolate the virus, where we could actually test the virus. That was NIV Pune. And today, after the end of 14 months, today morning when I saw the figures, we have 2,402 labs in the whole country where the testing is done. And during this economic crisis, we have been able to formulate plans for the next 5 years where we are going to have 4 to 5 more institutions like NIV in the country, at all the regions. We have one NCDC in Delhi, National Center for Disease Control. We are going to have 5 more, at 5 more places all over the, and it's a huge, you see, under Prime Minister Modi, we could convert all those challenges, all those adversities into basically opportunities. It was mentioned here, you all remember in the initial stages, there was so much of hue and cry about the shortage of these PPE kits, N95 masks, ventilators, etc., etc. And then we were suddenly producing more than 5 lakh kits every day. We must have supplied over 4 crore N95 masks to the whole country, over almost 1.7 crore PPE kits. And there came a time during this 2020 when most of the states were saying, sir, please don't send PPE kits to us, we don't have place to store them. We were giving them, we supplied 37,000 ventilators. We were giving hydroxychloroquine to 150 countries of the whole world. And today, as a part of the vaccine Maitri, we are supplying these vaccines to almost 60 countries of the whole world. 2 crore 10 lakh almost doses have been given to, say, 1 crore 70 lakh people. And all of you have already received. I had to wait till 2nd of March and wait for my turn along with the Prime Minister, who said everybody has to wait because he leads by example. He said we all have to wait for our turn. So we had to wait for the category of 60 above, 60 plus to take the vaccine. And now, you know, almost 3,75,000 sessions have been organized all over the country. Almost a few thousand hospitals, all private hospitals. When I went to take the vaccine, I said Hanumanji went all the way across half of India to get the Sanjeevani. But now we have provided this Sanjeevani next to your doorstep. Every hospital has got a facility. You remember all those interviews which were given on the television channel by the manufacturers saying that this vaccine will be worth 1,000 rupees, 2,000 rupees and all. We know how sincerely the government negotiated with the people to ensure that the prices are capped for everything, which is ultimately to ensure that things are in the larger interest of the people. And then the facility has been made available on in every hospital, almost whosoever wants to have the facility. And then the seamless operation on the COVID platform. You are all aware of that. This is probably the biggest, most successful seamless operation, signifying the success of the Digital India program, which was launched by Prime Minister in 2014. And most of the things that we work in this government now are done, in fact, digitally. All this actually could happen because we all worked like a team. This was a whole of government, whole of society, whole of medical professionals approach. And whenever there was a need, you will recall the early stages of the COVID, fight against COVID. How much of stigma was attached to those doctors who were serving these patients. Doctors were like literally doctors and healthcare workers. They were chased away, they were beaten. But the government had the wisdom to immediately step in. We changed the Indian Epidemics Act immediately. And after that, I think when everybody was warned about the possible punishment that they would get, you have not heard of any incident like that in this country. And when we started losing COVID warriors, doctors, nurses, the government of India stepped in. For the whole country, wherever a COVID warrior lost his life, this life insurance of 50 lakh rupees. The government of India is paying for each and every COVID warrior that is who unfortunately lost his life during the course of this pandemic. And even for the vaccines now, the government of India pays for every vaccine being given to every Indian all across the nation. And we feel really grateful because as a science and technology minister, I have seen that also from close quarters, the contribution of our scientific community and the vision of the Prime Minister who supported the scientists in a big way, creating a fund of almost 900 crores for the development of the vaccine, the COVID Suraksha Fund. And right now you have got these 2 vaccines. There's another 5 to 7 vaccines which are in the clinical trial stages. Some of them in very advanced clinical trial stages, some of them awaiting emergency use authorization by the drug controller. So very soon in the coming years, we'll have many more vaccines in the market. And then the way scientific community could really transform the situation from a situation where we were forced to get all these kits and everything from outside at prices which were like literally unaffordable for the country. But since it was a crisis, since it was an emergency, but then our scientists ensured that almost we were producing 10 lakh kits a day in this country. We were the first ones to isolate the virus. We started. Today people are talking about the genome sequencing and all because of the UK variant. But in my ministry, in Kalyani and other labs, we started genome sequencing in May, June itself, and every month we were reviewing what's the what's the mutation happening, is there any significant mutation taking place in the virus which is going to cause some more of problems. So friends, the point that I want to make is that 2020 I think is an year of the contribution of the COVID warriors. It will be remembered for COVID causing so much of devastation, but it will also be remembered as a year of science. It will also be remembered as a year of contribution of the COVID warriors. It will be something which will be written in grand letters in history textbooks, and it has shown to the world that India, if it decides, it can do it. It has the potential to do it, it has the capability to do it, it has the DNA to do it. So, I would appeal to all of you. You see, I personally feel that COVID, if all of us remain together and if we have the right, I think that the country has the right approach, COVID is already on its way out. The only thing that we need to ensure is that number one, to keep politics out of the war against COVID. I think that's the most important thing, which unfortunately few in our profession are also not able to understand and appreciate. And then the second important thing is to appreciate the role of science and to appreciate and learn and also respect the contribution of science, which again few in the country are not able to either understand or deliberately they are trying to push it unnecessarily politically. And then of course the third thing that I feel is most important is to create a sort of a movement for ensuring that maximum people they get vaccinated against COVID. This is where I see the role of the Delhi Medical Association and its members once again, because once a doctor says something, once a doctor appeals, once you get in touch with the NGOs in your area, once you get in touch with the RWAs in your area, and once you tell everybody that get yourself vaccinated as early as possible, so that ultimately we are able to move steadily in a direction where the society also develops some sort of a herd immunity against COVID. We have already seen that there is so much of importance of COVID appropriate behavior, but I feel sorry when I see some of the doctors also taking the wearing of masks, etc., a little lightly. I would, because I have in the last 14 months seen so many people, and I have seen so many people slipping away from us once for all. And when we would analyze the reasons, we would say they were just about careless in their approach. The way our Dr. Sunil Singhal, the former president of IMA, his Delhi branch, is sitting here without a mask. I think this type of behavior coming from medical professionals is not acceptable, because this sends a very wrong signal. People feel that now India has achieved a very significant success. Everybody is appreciating, WHO is appreciating the success of India and its achievements. Vaccine is already there, people are getting vaccines. Now there is no need for precautions. But I think the most important thing to do is to pursue once again, for which I had said even during the last 1 year, was that vaccine may come. Now vaccine has also come. But this is the most potent, powerful social vaccine that COVID provided to us. And in fact, COVID virus, I respect the virus in a way, because the treatment for COVID is not so difficult. It's only about simple precautions. And I know that this mask can protect you how well and so well that if you wear it properly, I think it's a very potent tool to keep COVID away from you. And you have yourself in Delhi Medical Association launched the movement about mask and for bhagawing COVID. But if you are yourself not wearing the mask and only distributing the mask, the message gets diluted. So I would suggest that this particular conference, one of the most important resolutions of the conference should be to once again reinforce and strengthen the movement for following the COVID appropriate behavior, and also help in getting a Jan Andolan strengthened in the country for vaccination. This is going to take us further in the right direction. Dr. Pandey and Dr. B.B. Wadhwa has mentioned a couple of things about the problems that you all are facing. You will all remember that the long-standing problem, if people will remember 94, the long-standing problem of the registration of the nursing homes and hospitals in Delhi. Dr. Prem Agrawal will also endorse what I say, that it was solved by Dr. Harshvardhan as Health Minister in 1994. And it was only after that we had that issue resolved once for all. So all these problems, you have some issues with house tax, or you have some issues with environmental ministry. From time to time, whatever issues have cropped up, you all know that I have tried to take them up very sincerely and very diligently with the respected authorities, and we'll certainly take them up once again with the authorities, and I promise that we'll work sincerely. The country already owes a lot to the medical profession, and once again, something which I have been saying for last almost 25-30 years, since the time I became a member of the East Delhi branch in 1984, became its secretary in 87, its president in 88, DMA secretary in 89, and then of course 92-93, just after Dr. Harish Grover and Dr. Prem Agrawal, DMA president, that ultimately we have to come out of this mindset of a particular system of medicine. If we have to serve humanity, if we have to ultimately ensure that we have to move towards health for all, we have to ensure universal health coverage, you have to think in a holistic manner. All of us, all the systems of medicine, they have to become complementary to each other. All of them, each one of the systems have to respect their own professionals and have to respect the professionals of the other systems also. And if we are committed to ensure that India delivers the health for all model for the whole world to emulate, we have to develop a broader vision, work together, all the systems of medicine. And this is not something which Dr. Harshvardhan has been saying. This has been said from ages. It is there in all the literature. Our ancient medical wisdom has been translated in various languages in the past, whether it was the Arabic language or the Persian language or the Chinese language or the European language. And this is all history, this is all fact. And today, as someone who works so closely with WHO, I know that WHO also has been advocating that the other systems of medicine, apart from the modern systems of medicine, they all have to be strengthened. The Director General of WHO, he called the Prime Minister that we want to create a global center of excellence in India for the whole world to promote the Indian systems of medicine like Ayurveda. So WHO has so many professionals, so many experts from all fields of the whole world. There are many countries in even in a country like Australia and New Zealand, an Ayurvedic doctor, if he passes an exam, he can practice Ayurveda in that country. So we all have to develop a holistic and a futuristic and a pragmatic and I would say, dignified behavior and vision. That's probably the need of the hour. And I am sure with DMA, with its glorious history, as was enumerated by Dr. Ajay Gambhir and many others, we know how great those people were who gave birth to Delhi Medical Association in 1914. And there is no other example in the whole world where the child is born much before the parent. So we have to live up to the expectation of those great people who actually formed the Delhi Medical Association. Whatever the history may be, but I think this is our solemn duty towards the people and towards humanity and towards that Hippocratic oath that we took long back when we passed out of the medical college, that we have to continue to serve humanity without any prejudice or without any bias, and only think of our people, only think of the patient, and only think of alleviating his or her suffering with utmost sincerity and dedication. So I wish all of you good health and wish all of you all sorts of success in all your endeavors and in future, and also assure you that any one of you who wants to do any research, who has some bright ideas about doing something concrete for the country, the Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji's government stands rock solid behind every idea of every individual. You are an educated person, but even for those who are uneducated or not formally educated, our government has, you see, full support, full backing for conversion of that idea into entrepreneurship to serve the people of India in the best possible manner, with the strong innovative coefficient that India has developed now. In the Global Innovation Index, for the first time in the history, we have come in the first 50. And in all the almost all the scientific parameters, we are amongst the first 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 nations in the whole world. Scientific publications, we are number 3 in the whole world. patents number 8 in the whole world, PhDs number 3 in the whole world, nanotechnology number 3 in the whole world, tsunami warnings, early tsunami warning number 1 in the whole world, weather forecasting number 4 in the whole world, and in a list of public funded institutions of science like the CSIR, in a list of almost 1200 institutions, we rank within the first 15. So this is the level of achievement that we have been able to achieve under Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and there is so much that's happening. We had one medical college when Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji became the Prime Minister. He added 5 to that, and now under Prime Minister Narendra Modi that number has gone up to 22. And right now, starting from 2014 till today, there are 157 medical colleges, new medical colleges are under various phases of development. We have already added almost 30,000 MBBS seats. They have already added almost 30,000 PG seats. There is so much happening for DNB seats. So much of details I can. 150,000 health and wellness centers being created. Last week I was in Nagaland, and I was in the northeastern most part of the northeast. This is a district, Mon, which is bordering Myanmar, Arunachal Pradesh, Assam. There also I had gone to lay the foundation stone of a medical college. That is the level of development that is happening. And today morning you saw another program by the Prime Minister. When we took over in 2014, there were only these 86 Jan Aushadhi stores in the country. Today we have 7,500, that number we have completed. And every store provides 50 to 90% less the medicines, the generic drugs, which are all approved by WHO GMP certification, all tested in NABL accredited laboratories. So almost a list of 1,400 drugs, more than 200 surgical devices and all those things. So much is happening, and it is a happening moment in India's history under Prime Minister Narendra Modi. And he has a dream to deliver a new India by 2022, when we complete 75 years of our independence next year. When Prime Minister says he wants to see back smile on everybody's face, he wants to ensure every child in this country has adequate health, nutrition, education facilities. We are able to take care of the issues around women. We already have a International Women's Day tomorrow, and then also protect and preserve the dignity of the older people, and see that two important things prevail in this society. They should be around humanism and nationalism. So this is the new India that we want to develop, and I know that professionals have a very, very important role in the creation of that new India. So you have been able to, Delhi Medical Association fortunately has kept itself away from many of the corrupt activities that unfortunately happen in our own professional systems also. So you have to preserve the sanctity of this organization, and as Dr. Gambhir said, we have to take forward the flag of the medical profession and the Delhi Medical Association in a big way, and I wish you all success for that. Thank you so much.
हर वक्त सेवा करते हैं, लेकिन वॉरियर का दर्जा हमें लास्ट ईयर मिला जब हमारे लिए तालियां भी बजाई गई, थालियां भी बजाई गई, फूलों की वर्षा भी की गई, और हमें एक कोरोना वॉरियर का दर्जा भी मिला। अभी राज्यसभा में एक डिबेट की एक लाइन आपको सुनाऊंगा, आपको बड़ा अच्छा लगेगा। हमारे किसी माननीय सदस्य ने कहा, इतनी बड़ी महामारी के बाद भगवान की दया थी कि हम बच गए। प्राइम मिनिस्टर उठे और उन्होंने कहा, भगवान की तो दया थी, लेकिन वो भगवान के रूप में कभी हमारे डॉक्टर आए, कभी हमारे नर्स आई, कभी हमारे पैरामेडिकल आए, और ये हमारे लिए भगवान बन के आए। अपने बच्चों को कह के आते थे कि हम शाम को घर आएंगे, और 15-15 दिन तक घर जाने को नहीं मिलता था। ये आज के भगवान हैं, और मैं इनका शुक्रगुजार हूँ। We are thankful to the Prime Minister and Dr. Harshvardhan for the respect they gave to medical profession, and you are the soul and you are the representative honesty and commitment. Thank you, sir. Now, I will also request Dr. Harshvardhan ji to open the year. Thank you, sir. Now it's attending exemplary services to the society and in the COVID era. I request Dr. Ajay Bedi, Dr. Prakash Lal Chandani, both our very dynamic vice presidents, and our little daughter Supriya, to please present a shawl and honor Dr. Harshvardhan. Supriya, please also to join. Tomorrow is the Women's Day. We start this on the eve of Women's Day. To Dr. Harshvardhan. Sir, you have made every member of Delhi Medical Association proud by your honesty and commitment.
ये इनको याद दिलाता रहेगा।
Thank you, sir. We never feel, we always inspire so much confidence amongst the members that we get further motivated to work with more zeal and enthusiasm. And Gautam, Jindabad. Thank you.
नहीं मेल्स नहीं आ सकते।
ये हम लोग साइड में रहेंगे, आप फ्रंट में रहिए।
Sir, thank you.